Hello football fans, welcome to United Home. Here you'll get breaking transfer news, match updates, and exclusive inside training content. Show your support by liking the video, commenting your thoughts, sharing with other fans, and subscribing to join the United Home family. Manchester United star Jadon Sancho's future takes fresh twist as club announce exit. Manchester United outcast Jadon Sancho is likely to leave Old Trafford as a free agent this summer. But one of his suitors, Borussia Dortmund, now have a new sporting director. Borussia Dortmund will have a new sporting director overseeing their summer transfer business amid reports that the Bundesliga outfit are ready to re-sign Jadon Sancho for a third time when he permanently leaves Manchester United. Sancho, 25, made his name in Germany with Dortmund over 4 years, earning a blockbuster £73 million switch to Old Trafford back in the summer of 2021. But unfortunately for the fleet-footed winger, he has been unable to replicate his dazzling Dortmund form in a Manchester United shirt. Despite falling out of favour, Sancho remains on United's books after failing to agree a permanent transfer in recent transfer windows. But with the attacker out of contract this summer, Sancho is now expected to leave United at the end of the season as a free agent, with Dortmund emerging as the red-hot favourites to sign him. The winds of change are already sweeping through Dortmund ahead of the next transfer window, with their highly rated sporting director, Sebastian Kehl, leaving his post. He departs the German giants with immediate effect, and they have wasted no time in sourcing a replacement, announcing that Old Book has agreed to fill the void left by Kehl's exit. Such a significant change behind the scenes is likely to alter plans when it comes to the transfer window. But in Sancho's case, he could be unaffected. That's because a move to re-sign the Aston Villa loanee has already been given the green light by Niko Kovac, Dortmund's head coach. The Times reported last week that Kovac has changed his mind on sanctioning a swoop for Sancho after electing not to target any new wingers last summer. However, a deal would be reliant on Sancho taking a significant pay cut, given his old club would be unable to match the reported £300,000 a week he is currently earning at Manchester United. Sancho spent the second half of the 2023-24 campaign back at Dortmund on loan after falling out with Erik ten Hag prior to the Dutchman's dismissal. He then joined Chelsea on a season-long loan. With an obligation, however, the two parties were unable to come to an agreement on personal terms. Sancho is currently on loan at Aston Villa for the season, with Manchester United not expected to extend his contract. Manchester United chief weighs in on formation debate. My experience tells me. Man United's academy did not play with Ruben Amorim's formation during his 14 months in charge of the club. Manchester United's new academy chief Stephen Torpey has suggested the club's academy teams will continue to operate with the same formation, regardless of who the first team manager is. Ruben Amorim's formation was a talking point throughout his disastrous 14 months in charge of United, and fans questioned why the academy coaches did not use the same 3-4-3 system as Amorim. Although some have argued that it would be logical for academy teams to mirror the first team formation, former head of the academy Nick Cox said it was important to give youngsters a well-rounded education. Torpey was appointed as Cox's replacement in September, and the academy teams have not changed formation under his watch. Since then, Michael Carrick has changed the first team system to 4-3-3, the formation used by the youth teams, but Carrick is not certain to get the permanent job this summer. Should United hire a manager who wants the first team to play with a different formation, the academy team will continue to use 4-3-3 in youth fixtures. My experience tells me having consistency when you work with young children makes a big difference. The reason why we would select a certain system within youth is not because it's a winning formula. It's not because, if we play against this opponent, it means we're going to win. We've got to pick the right formula. That's the right system of play that's going to help us educate individuals within that team sport. And therefore, if we play with a back five or a back four, what does that give us? Well, actually playing with a back four means it's harder as a defender because you've got one less body. So therefore, they're going to learn more about the game. Playing with a midfield in a certain shape means that you've got the difference between a holding midfielder and attacking midfielders. Now that's important. That is really important. Not that we play that shape that's going to be the same shape as the first team, because tactics is taught really quickly. If you can teach players who are positionally savvy, a fullback or a winger could play a wingback, because by the time they arrive at the first team, we actually don't know what system the first team will be playing. Our duty to these young players is to consistently teach them about the game, the principles of the game, and how they can play positionally in certain areas and zones of the pitch. Torpe continued. I think that playing that consistent way, so playing with 1-4-3-3 in youth, helps us. But also systems, as we know, they're not rigid anymore, they're fluid, so that's only a starting position. It's about teaching the game from that position. But having that set up means that as an academy, we can have alignment, and alignment is the key in youth from my experience, for sure. Therefore, when we're talking about players, and when we're talking about building programs for development plans, we have to base it on some area of the field so that we can teach accordingly throughout the week. But if you were to say, change the system every other week because we're playing a certain opponent, or we haven't got certain players available, my experience tells me that that creates more of a hindrance in terms of the young players because they're thinking more about tactics than the principles that they've been taught over that period of time. Torpe spoke to the MEN for one of the first interviews since his appointment as Academy Chief, touching on Sir Jim Ratcliffe's view on the Academy, rising star JJ Gabriel and more. Man United transfer news live, Bruno Guimaraes agreement, Kiernan Dewsbury Hall interest. Manchester United are in the market for a replacement for Casemiro when the Brazilian leaves the club this summer, with Bruno Guimaraes emerging as the club's top target. Manchester United transfer news from the MEN. As the summer transfer window fast approaches, speculation has emerged regarding who is in line to replace Casemiro once the Brazilian midfielder makes his exit from Old Trafford come season's end. Newcastle United captain Bruno Guimaraes has emerged as the club's top target, with a gentleman's agreement that the 28-year-old has in place with his current club since coming to light in a major boost to the Reds. It was this week reported that United were in advanced talks to sign the Tyneside-based Titan in a £69 million move. However, sources close to Newcastle have since downplayed that suggestion. Elsewhere, with Marcus Rashford's future at Barcelona beyond 2025-26 hanging in the balance, the forward has been linked with a wealth of Premier League rivals, including Arsenal and Chelsea. Barcelona boss Hansi Flick has offered an update on the possibility of Marcus Rashford joining the La Liga giants on a permanent deal from Manchester United following his loan spell. Manchester United defender Harry Maguire described the decision to send him off against Bournemouth as so soft. Maguire was shown a red card with 12 minutes to play at the Vitality Stadium on Friday night. Evanilson went to the ground after a push from Maguire. Referee Stuart Atwell pointed to the spot, despite waving away a similar challenge on Ahmad in the Bournemouth box earlier in the game. Writing on Instagram, Maguire reacted, "So soft, but that's where football is at ATM at the moment, and I